You just got up off the couch with a mission. It was clear, sharp. You knew exactly what you were going to grab. 7 steps to the kitchen, and nothing. You're standing in the middle of the kitchen, hand on the counter, staring at the fridge like it's going to hand you back the answer you just lost. What was it? What did you come in here to do? Gone. It evaporated somewhere along the way and didn't even leave a note. So you do the one thing everyone does in that moment. You go back. You retrace your steps. You sit back down on the couch, hoping the spot will remind you. And here's the funny, kind of beautiful part. You just became a detective for a crime that happened inside your own head 12 seconds ago. So that's what we're going to do here. Investigate. Because that blank that just got you isn't some ordinary slip of memory. It's a clue. One of the strangest clues your mind drops on the floor several times a day, and that nobody has ever stopped to pick up and look at closely. Let's start by questioning the obvious suspects. The ones we always accuse first in a hurry without proof. Suspect number 1, age. My memory's shot, I'm getting old. Not true. This doorway blank hits the 19-year-old sprinting after their phone charger the exact same way it hits your grandma. If it were age wearing you down, those two wouldn't tie. Innocent, you can go. Suspect number 2, you're scattered, your head was somewhere else. Doesn't hold up either. Look closer. The moment you stood up off the couch, you were focused. You had one clean goal, right on the tip of your tongue. Grab the charger. There was no distraction. The distraction is exactly what shows up after the blank, when you're standing there stranded, no ground under you. Your focus was fully intact at the starting line. Innocent. Suspect number 3, tiredness, bad sleep, 1 coffee short. This one's almost funny, it's so easy to throw out, because this gets you at 10 in the morning, wide awake at your best hour of the day. You don't need to be exhausted, you only need one thing. And this is where the investigation turns. Before we go on, stop for a second and notice, you've already lived this exact scene in like 5 different places just this week. You walked into the bedroom to grab a piece of clothing and stood there staring at the open closet with no idea what for. You went out to the garage for a tool and came back empty-handed, sure you'd already picked it up. Always the same choreography. Arrive, freeze, forget. The setting changes, the crime is identical, and that alone should tell you the culprit isn't the bedroom, or the garage, or the kitchen. It's something all of those places have in common. Because there's a witness nobody questioned, and it was present every single time this ever happened to you in your whole life. The doorway. Pay attention to the detail we always skip. You don't forget on the couch. You don't forget halfway down the hall. You forget at the exact instant you cross the passage from one room to another. The forgetting has an address, and the address is always the threshold, the frame, the doorway, the border between one space and another. This has a name. Researchers call it the doorway effect, and it's not couch talk. Around 2011, a scientist named Gabriel Radvansky, over at the University of Notre Dame, decided to take this silly little feeling and put it inside a lab to see if it was real. The experiment is beautifully simple. He had people pick up an object off a table, tuck it into a box so nobody could see what it was, and carry that box across the room. Halfway through, he'd stop the person and ask what was inside. Half of them made that trip within a single room. The other half walked the exact same distance, same steps, same time, but through a doorway in the middle. And here's the result. The ones who went through the doorway forgot more. A lot more. Same distance, same effort, same object. The only difference in the entire world between one group and the other was a wooden frame in the middle of the room, and that was enough to wipe things out of people's heads. So you think, okay, but maybe it's something physical, a change in light, in temperature, whatever. So Radvansky went further and rebuilt the whole thing inside a video game. Virtual environment. The person crossed rooms on a screen, never leaving their chair. No real door, no different light, no actual steps. And guess what? The virtual doorway wiped the memory just the same. It wasn't the body crossing space, it was the mind crossing a border. And he went after our last hope too, that thing you do on instinct, going back to the original room to try to remember. Does going back fix it? Not always. Returning to the room where it all started often didn't bring the whole memory back. The damage was already done in the crossing, so we've got a culprit. The doorway. But every good detective knows that finding out who did it isn't the end. The end is finding out why. Why would a wooden frame, real or drawn on a screen, have that kind of power over your head? What does your mind think it's doing there? And the answer is the most beautiful part of all this. Your mind doesn't treat your life like one continuous video. It treats it like a series of chapters. There's an idea in psychology called event segmentation. The claim is this: your brain is constantly cutting the flow of your experience into pieces, into episodes, into scenes. It doesn't store the whole day as one single tape. It stores the moment on the couch, then the moment in the kitchen, then the moment on the balcony, separate little packets. And it needs signals to know where one packet ends and the next begins. Those signals have a name. They're event boundaries. And what's the biggest physical event boundary in your entire day? A doorway. To your mind, crossing a doorway isn't just walking, it's the end of a chapter. It's the brain banging the gavel and saying, "Closed, that environment is over, a new one has started." And the instant it closes the chapter, it does a cleanup. It clears working memory, that tiny little space where your immediate intentions are held, to make room for the new room. Scientists call this the location updating effect. Your go grab the charger was stored right there, in that split-second working memory, and then you walked through the doorway, and your mind trying to help you, trying to prep you for the new environment, threw the bucket of water on the floor and wiped the board. It didn't betray you. It did the cleaning, at the worst possible moment. And here comes the question that closes the investigation. Why on earth would a brain do something so counterproductive? Why erase the very intention you just formed? Because for almost the entire history of the human species, this was genius. Think about who we were before houses with hallways. Crossing a border, leaving the cave, stepping into the clearing, moving to another valley, almost always meant the world over there was different. Different dangers, different food, different priorities. Holding on to what mattered in the previous place was dead weight, and it could get you killed. So the brain learned to empty the backpack at every crossing, to carry what matters now, in the new space. The system is brilliant. It just doesn't know that your kitchen isn't a new valley full of lions. It treats the door of your apartment with the same seriousness it once treated the entrance to unknown territory. Your mind is running a survival program thousands of years old inside a 20-foot hallway, and the phone charger is the collateral damage. You know what that means? That the doorway isn't a wall in your memory, it's a pair of scissors. Your mind is a film editor working all day long, cutting your life into scenes, and the doorway is the point where it makes the cut. It's the chapter break in the book. It's the cut to the next scene in the movie. You don't live your life in one single continuous take. You live inside an already edited film, scene by scene, without ever noticing the cutting happening. And here I have to tell you something. Because if you made it this far, you're not curious for nothing. You're the kind of person who likes to see the gears behind things. This whole channel is built for people like you, who look at some silly little moment and suspect there's a whole universe hidden inside it. If that's you, leave it on record with a like, not for the vanity of the number, but because that's how we find the other people who also stand frozen in the doorway asking, "What did I come in here to do?" There are more of us than it looks. And check this out, you don't even need a wooden door anymore for this to happen. Remember the video game, the virtual doorway that wiped the memory just the same? You do this all day long, on a screen, without leaving your chair. You open a new tab to look something up, and it lands there blank, cursor blinking, and you already don't know what you are going to type. Switching tabs is crossing a doorway. Opening a new app is crossing a doorway. That "wait, what did I come here to do" that catches you mid-phone is the same crime. At the same threshold, just digital. Your mind has invented event boundaries even where there's no wall at all. Because look at the size of what we just uncovered. If your mind cuts space into chapters every time you cross a doorway, real or made of glass, what else is it cutting without telling you? It cuts time. That's why the start of the year feels like a new chapter and you feel like you get to start over. Nothing changed in the universe on the 1st of January, but your mind put a doorway there. It cuts places. That's why vacations feel like they lasted so long when you remember them later. You crossed dozens of new doorways, dozens of borders, and each one became a separate full chapter on the shelf. It cuts the phases of your life. Before that city, after that job, Back when I lived there. Your entire biography is a sequence of chapters your mind decided where to begin and where to end, and you almost never chose those cuts. It chose them for you. And there's a detail in this story that explains the scariest thing you feel about your own life. The sense that time is slipping by way too fast. Think about a week of pure routine. Monday the same as Tuesday, the same as Wednesday, same route, same desk, same drive home. At the end of it, you look back and it barely exists. It vanished. It turned into one single blur. Now think about a week of travel, or a move, or something you'd never done before. It feels like it lasted a month. Why? Because the routine week has almost no event boundaries. Your mind crosses very few new thresholds, so it has almost no chapters to file, and a nearly empty shelf looks short when you look at it later. The new week, though, is a wall of doorways, dozens of borders, dozens of chapters, a packed shelf. It's not that time went slower on the trip. It's that your mind had more to separate into scenes. Life doesn't slip away because the days are short. It slips away because days that look alike don't earn their own chapter. And what doesn't become a chapter, memory doesn't keep. And here's the turn that pulls the floor out from under me. Normally this editor works invisibly. You never see the cut happen. You just watch the finished film and swear it was always continuous. But the blank in the doorway is the one moment the scissors slip and show up on screen. It's the one instant you catch the editor of your own mind red-handed. That "what did I come in here to do" isn't a glitch in your brain. It's the one crack you get to see through, to watch how it builds your reality all the time. So next time you freeze in the middle of the kitchen, empty-handed, no clue what you came for, don't curse your head, smile at it. You're not broken, you're not going forgetful, you just caught, live, the most sophisticated thing your mind does, turning the chaos of a whole day into a story you can actually keep. And it does this doorway after doorway without ever asking for applause. If this idea shifted the way you look at the door of your own home even a little, do something for someone. Send this video to that person who's always forgetting what they were about to say mid-sentence. Not as a joke, as a gift. Because there's a huge difference between thinking your mind is failing you and understanding that it's protecting you in its own way. One more person getting this today is one less person fighting with their own head for no reason. The doorway was never the problem. It's just the place where your mind turns the page, and maybe if you pay attention next time, you'll get to read the name of the chapter in the instant right before it closes. You came here to get something. Maybe you forgot what along the way. That's okay. The hallway is holding it for you. It always has.